There we go. Hi, everybody. So I'll give people a few minutes to connect, but those that'll be replaying the video, I just wanted to say hi. For those who don't know me, my name is Dion Bergeron. I am running for Indiana's 1st District. We need, I believe, far more regular Americans that are willing to step up and make decisions that are required for the rest of us rather than rich liberals who feel guilty about being rich and liberal, um, who feel guilty about having things that others do not. I think we need more Americans that are willing to understand that there's no easy solution to where we've gotten ourselves. We have supply chains that are all over the world. Globalism has failed. We need to understand that. We need to make decisions that include pulling our manufacturing back to the United States. I'm going to give you real quick what I'm about. I am for criminal justice reform, healthcare reform, the Second Amendment, and I want to fix our infrastructure. I'm going to go into a little more detail about those. I believe that we have a serious problem in this country with the criminal justice system. And part of that problem is that justice is not applied equally across all demographics, backgrounds, economic levels. I think that needs to be fixed. We have a society that is all about good for thee, not for me. And we see it all the time with Congress. We see it with people that dump their stocks, for example, right before a pandemic. We see news coverage of that right now, for example. People are doing things in Congress that normal people have no say-so over. The laws don't apply to them. The laws apply to us, but not to them. It's one of the things that I want to change. I believe that they should have the same access to health care and other things that we do. 401k, for example, not a congressional package that lets them retire after only a few years. Doesn't make sense. I think that instead of focusing on punishing criminals, don't get me wrong, the people that do very bad things should be in prison. But during that time, if they are going to get out, we need to focus on what they're going to do when they get out. We need to look at, instead of locking these people away for however long, we need to focus on what are they going to do when they get out, because many of these people are going to be returned back to the same communities that they were locked up from, and they'll have no idea of how to go to a law-abiding life. The only thing they know is what got them in prison in the first place. And there's a reason that many times prisons and jails are called going to school, because they learn how to be a better criminal. That's one thing that I would like to change. I would like to expand the reentry programs that we have. I would like to focus more on that rather than just locking people away and throwing away the key. I am not for privatization, unlike many of my Republican colleagues who believe that the answer is the free market to our prison system. I have seen firsthand what this has done to our prison system, and healthcare and food service in our prison system is not a good thing. Aramark, for example, I've heard that Aramark on the outside world does a very good job. They're a good company. I don't know that. All I see is what I saw behind bars, and that I wouldn't feed that food to my dogs. It's just that simple. It's not a positive thing at all. Prior to Aramark taking over, people were fed a reasonable meal, and they could focus on whatever it was that they were there for rather than the disgusting food. There were times that people worried for their safety because of the food that was being served in there. Let's talk about healthcare reform. Now, the first thing that I would like to see, I've talked before about my healthcare plan, but one thing that I haven't mentioned is, or at least not at length, is the federal legalization of marijuana. Now, the main reason that I am for that is because we have a system right now where the VA cannot prescribe marijuana, THC, cannabis, whatever you want to call it, to veterans that would benefit from it. Now, I know that some people have an issue with marijuana, and I can understand your reservations, but many studies have shown that that it helps tremendously with PTSD and anxiety, many other conditions. As long as we have the system in place that we have, where marijuana is listed among cocaine, heroin, and other things like this, we're not going to be able to prescribe it in the VA. So the first thing that has to happen is it has to come off the federal controlled substance list. Now, I know that there have been many proposals that have been put forth in Congress. The problem is all these proposals contain riders. They all contain, well, let's give these people money, or let's send money this way. Instead of doing it in such a way, let's introduce a basic bill, get it off the controlled substance list, let states handle how they want it to be handled, and then individual counties and cities and all of that. But first of all, it needs to come off the list because the VA can't do anything with it the way it is right now. I would like to see assistance for those on Medicare with the premiums and premium reduction. I would like to see Medicare have the ability to negotiate drug prices. That's been an issue for a very long time. We're paying billions and billions of dollars more than we need to through Medicare for prescription drugs. I'm all about the Second Amendment. Those who know me, those who see my vehicle know that I am absolutely going to protect your Second Amendment rights. I believe in concealed carry reciprocity, which means that my concealed carry permit should carry across state lines. I would like to see that revitalized. It kind of died a slow death when the Democrats took over the House, and it's been kind of left to languish. I would like to see that revived. I think that our infrastructure needs serious help. I think that we need to start looking at long-term solutions instead of asphalt, perhaps hempcrete. We have a massive farming community in Indiana that desperately needs cover crops that turn a profit. I think hemp is one potential solution to that. We can use it for far more than just CBD, and that's currently the way most of it is used. If we start expanding it, get some hemp-related industry in Indiana, then we can begin making tons of other items with it, which will generate profit for those farmers who use it as a cover crop, as it's kind of designed to do. We need to demand that American goods be used to fix our roads. All infrastructure, really. Why are we importing sub-quality goods from other countries to spend our tax dollars on? That is something that absolutely needs to change, and we need to streamline the process. There are projects that are taking 10 years. I saw a video about a bathroom in New York that was $1 million to build for a little bathroom in a park. It makes no sense. All these need to be streamlined, and we need to ensure that these projects can be completed at the minimum cost to the taxpayer, and that it doesn't take years to get it done. It has been advised to me, recommended that I have these more often. I think that's a good idea. With the current situation the way it is, I'd like to talk with more of you, give you a chance to ask the questions that you have, but also give me a chance to talk to you and tell you what I'm about. For those who don't know, I was a truck driver, I was a correctional officer, real estate. I've been a welder. I've worked on oil rigs. I've done a little bit of everything. Domino's pizza delivery driver. I've done a little bit of everything. The longest time definitely was truck driver and correctional officer, though, which is why you hear me repeat those so much. Those were my careers. Truck driver first, then truck driver trainer. I worked for Werner Enterprises, one of the biggest trucking companies in America, called the Wiener Wagons. Both those in the industry. I believe that we need more regular people in our government. We have too many lawyers. The vast majority of the people who represent us are attorneys or come from political elite families. That's something that desperately needs to change. We've seen how that's worked out. We see these people that go into office worth a, a small amount, and by the time they come out of office 10, 15 years later, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That's a serious problem because there's no way, based on their salary, they should be worth that much. Especially, and don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people who believes that congressmen should get paid a massive amount, but there are definitely expenses associated with it. So if they're keeping a home in, say, Washington, D.C., for example, apartment, whatever, and keeping a home in their district, which they absolutely should be, how are they able to have all this money that to invest and to buy stocks and to suddenly be worth hundreds of millions of dollars in some cases? That's absolutely insane. It really is. And it speaks to the core of the problem. I am willing to put myself out there. I'm willing to stand up and say that no more. Even if I'm not the one you choose for the primary, I hope that we can at least take some solace in the fact that there are people willing to get up there and say, hey, enough of this. And I'm one of them. I'm willing to get up there and say, hey, I'm going to take you to task for the things that you've said and the things that you've done. And I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter to me. I am not going to rubber stamp anyone. I don't care what party it's from. I'm willing to talk to both sides of the aisle. I think that pretty much covers that. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is young people. We have a new generation that's getting ready to vote. I want to speak to you. Your opinion matters. Your experiences matter. And it seems like a lot of these politicians just want to dismiss you as if your youth means that you don't know what's really going on. They either talk down to you or they tell you, oh, just go vote the way your parents tell you. You have legitimate concerns. You have legitimate feelings, and I am willing to address those. One thing is you are going to be voting in what I consider to be the probably the most important election we've had in my lifetime. There are many people that either have hate for the other side of the aisle or dismiss them. And I think that that's unfortunate. We've gotten away from being able to talk. I want to tell the youth that it's not too late to get involved, especially with social media. You have the far more understanding of it than my generation does. This is your time. This is your time to speak up, and you have been. All the videos on TikTok and YouTube telling us what you think. I think that that's important, but also reach out to the people that are running for office. Tell them what's on your mind. People like me, people like the others running for office. It's important that we hear from you. We need to know what's on your mind. I have a son that will be able to vote in this election, and his opinions matter just as much as mine. I think that's important to realize. Your vote is just as important as the vote of a millionaire, as the vote of a homeless person. Your vote matters just as much, especially for local offices, for congressional offices, because the presidency uses a different system. It uses the Electoral College. We can talk about whether that's good or bad another time, but I personally think it's good. But your vote matters for these elections, and I think it's really important that you get involved. I think it would be a good thing for you to communicate with us. We're trying to communicate with you. A lot of times we fall short because we don't jump on the social media platforms that you use. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about that from my son. He's trying to help. Another thing that I'll talk about today is what the hours of service suspension means. Some of you might have read that the governor initially suspended the hours of service requirements for truck drivers. Now, what that means is ordinarily a driver can only drive a certain amount of time and they have to shut down. Now, believe it or not, this actually created some unsafe situations because you would have to shut down when you weren't tired, or you would have to drive when you were. It didn't matter. This actually frees up the drivers to be able to deliver when they're not tired. They're able to get out there, drive, regardless of what their logbook says, they can hit the road. It actually was suspended for the first time nationally that I'm aware of. I looked into it, and since the hours of service were instituted, there's never been a federal suspension. So it's a big deal. Hi, Sean. Hi, Matthew. It is important that we understand how important that the hours of service suspension is, because not only does it show the seriousness of what's going on, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. There's plenty of information out there about that. But it just goes to show how important that the core of this country is. The people who don't get awards in Hollywood, the people that don't get featured on the news because they said something, against our president, the people that just keep this country running. And, the truck drivers, the nurses, the doctors, the food service workers, the grocery store stockers and cashiers, the rail technicians and drivers, and all the people that really matter. Not these Hollywood liberals, or either way, that believe that their opinion is far more important than ours. We're finally getting to see who really matters in this country, and that is you and me and everyone else from the regular people. We are what keeps this country running. The correctional officers, the police officers. I could go on and on and on, but what it comes down to is the bottom of the pyramid is what keeps the pyramid up. It's not the top. It's not the 1%. We all know that no matter what happens with the stock market, no matter what happens with our jobs, they're going to be fine. Their opinions really don't matter. Yours do. Your opinions are what drives this country. Your work is what drives this country. Your taxes are what drive this country. And I would like to hear from far more of you. I want to hear what's important to you right now. You can reach me via email. You can reach me on all my social media accounts. It's behind me at Dion for Congress. I have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and I have a YouTube, which this video will be getting uploaded to it. I haven't put much up there yet, though I will be. I want to hear from you. Tell me what's important to you, what you worry about right now. They're talking about these economic stimulus packages, and no one can seem to agree on what's going to be best. My personal opinion, just get us some unemployment assistance, expand it, lock it down, send out checks, and we can get on with our lives. I would like to see us come together more than we have. We are still trying to blame either politicians or other countries for what's going on, instead of just going, okay, what can I do to help? And many of you don't have extra money. I don't really have any extra money. We can't really make a huge difference that way. We can't just go and buy thousands of dollars worth of groceries and donate them to the Salvation Army or the food pantries. If you can donate, by all means do. But most of it's just focus on nearby. Focus on your neighbors, your family. What can you do for them? How can you help them during this time? Because it may not even be financially related. How can you help them fill out an application for assistance? How can you help them to share information? For example, 211.org. If you go to 211.org, there are organizations that are set up to help you with utilities and food. It shows food pantries. Now, 211.org, you actually have to go in and put your zip code in. It'll take you to the Indiana website, or you can just dial 211 from your phone. There are a lot of things that are set up right now. The Small Business Association is giving out I heard low interest loans. I know they're giving out loans. I can't confirm how much interest is being charged on them. I find it interesting that the Fed can offer $1 trillion a day to our banks for loans, but they can't help small businesses directly. That's one of the things that's wrong with our government. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I want the Fed gone. Our money should not be controlled by a central bank. It should be controlled by our government, and through our government, we the people. I'm going to talk a little bit about what being a Republican means to me and why I'm a Republican. For one, Republican means personal responsibility and equality to me. It always has. I have seen people who believed that the Democratic Party, the Democrat Party, whatever you want to call them, were the party of the people and the party of the workers. And if you actually go back through the history books and you look at how it was founded and what they were about and why each party was founded, the Republican Party was actually founded to stop the spread of slavery in this country. And the Republican Party is the reason that slavery was abolished. It is a direct result of the work that Republicans put in. The Democrat Party is actually the party of the KKK and slavery and segregation. There's just so much history there. I can't cover it all, but that's what being a Republican means to me. It means not elevating one person, one race, one gender, one anything over another. Equality for everyone. We're all worth the same. We're all capable of great good. We're all capable of hate at times too. All of us. It doesn't matter what political party you're from. We're all the same. We're all equally important to the world. And that's what being a Republican means to me. I think I'm going to start doing this more often, maybe varying the tones a little bit and the topics. I'm going to try to convert this to audio for those that are maybe listening but can't watch. There's some big plans in the works just to try to get my voice out to you so you can hear what I'm about. How can you make an informed decision if you don't know who I am? So if anyone has any specific questions that they'd like me to address in a future video or audio podcast, whatever, by all means, send them to me. I will try to get to all of your questions. I will try to make sure that I cover everything for you. There are many things that are going on right now, and I want to try to keep that where it belongs, which is out of here. You've all heard plenty about it. You don't need me to cover it for you. I will say, just on that topic, that there's this talk of bailing out cruise ships and airlines. Cruise companies. One of the interesting things that I'm not sure if you realize, there's like one company that has ships registered in the United States, and most of them are registered in the Bahamas because far less red tape, far less taxes, stuff like that. So all of these companies that want us to bail them out aren't even really contributing to our economy that much in the first place. So I say loans, just like student loans. Same thing with the airlines. Same rates. You can't get rid of it by a bankruptcy. What's good for us is good for them, right? That's what I'm in favor of. I would like to see more of these companies taken to task for spending trillions of dollars buying their own stock, but not preparing for something. We're expected to prepare. We're expected to have, a week or so worth of food, 3 weeks actually, enough bills for 3 months and all that. But these companies can just help me, and we're supposed to just do so? No. No, that's one thing that you'll find I am not aligned with many of my GOP colleagues on. I don't favor big company bailouts. What I do favor is the people whose jobs are going to be lost, take care of them. And I'm not talking about the CEOs. I'm talking about the people on the ground. Take care of them. Let's make sure that unemployment insurance is robust. Let's make sure that we have plenty of money put into that. Let's take care of the people on the ground. The CEOs, all these golden parachute people, the shareholders at the top, the people on the board, for example, I think they're pretty well covered. I don't think that they need a bailout from us. Um, for what it's worth, I think that everything's going to be okay. I know that there's a lot of worry in people's hearts right now. What am I going to do about work? Some places have really lost hours. One thing that I can tell you is support your local businesses. The places, for example, your places, instead of going to McDonald's or Taco Bell, go to your local restaurant. The vast majority of them are still operating. Many of them will deliver. Others will run it out to your vehicle. You don't even have to get out of your car. They're using the utmost precautions to prepare your food. Local businesses really need your help right now because they're suffering. Make sure that you keep them in your mind when you're thinking of what to buy or what to do or how to make dinner tonight. There's nothing wrong with going to your local restaurant and getting a meal to go if you can afford to do so. I think that that's a good way to continue to give back to your community. I'd say that's probably one of the best ways because unless we get more people that are willing to do that, these places are going to have to start laying people off, the ones that haven't already. Uh, Give it a drink. So one of the things that I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start having at least once a day this little podcast, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to try to have it several times a day, just for much shorter than the previous ones that I've done, probably about 30 minutes or so. Give you a chance. I'm going to try to get it on converted to just audio for those that want to just listen and don't have a chance to watch, or maybe don't want to look at me talking. I don't blame you. Uh, those are things that are in the works. I'll get back to you on that. Uh, so a little bit more about me. I've been married to my wife Elizabeth for 10 years now. My anniversary was yesterday, 10-year anniversary. So she is a Medicaid waiver case manager, which means that she makes sure that she works with the developmentally disabled and she makes sure that they have services and kind of keeps them on track. Things have been interesting with that industry lately. There's staff shortages. Obviously, I've talked about that before, and I'll go into more detail on individual podcasts on that. But luckily, with her, working from home generally anyway, I can borrow her office for this and decorate it just a little bit for me. One of the things that I do worry about right now are the people that don't know what they're going to do as far as services go. I think that many people know someone in the home healthcare industry, whether it's through nursing home, maybe grandpa's in the nursing home, or you have someone who comes in and looks on Aunt Mabel. All these people are putting themselves at risk, and I want to thank you personally for that, along with all the people that I mentioned before, all the people that keep the bottom of the pyramid stable so that the top can do what they do. I am just trying to figure out how we're gonna move ahead with this. It's been an interesting adjustment, but I think that all of us together can really make a difference. I'd like to see everyone I'd like to see a lot more people get out and vote this election, especially in the primary. I want to touch for a moment on why the primary is so important and why I'd like to see more people get out there and vote in the primary. In the primary, you choose who's going to represent your party. Now, even if you're not of that party, you can still vote in the primary. You choose, okay, you know what? I really like this guy's message or this lady's message. I want them to represent me in Congress. Or locally, mayor, whatever elections are going on, and that's one thing I'd like to tell the young people. A lot of people don't realize you're involved with the president, for example, whether you love him or hate him, you're very involved, you're very vocal. Remember that your local elections matter too. Your district attorney, your mayor, your sheriff, and your congressperson. That's the person that's going to go to Washington and represent you on the national stage. The person that's going to go out there and say, hey, Indiana doesn't want to be like California or Texas or any number of states. We're all different. And it's critical that we are. That's why I'd like to see some of these federal laws rolled back rather than continually signing more laws into the books rather than maybe working on getting rid of some. Get involved, learn about these people. You got time now. we have time. Really go and research the platforms. Our primary here in Indiana was on May 5th. It has been pushed back to June 2nd. It's been extended. It doesn't matter what my opinion is of that. It happened. Hopefully they don't mess with it anymore and it stays at that, because that's already cutting into the general election. But learn what these people stand for, what these people represent, what they've said in the past, what they say now. Compare the two. If whoever you want to represent you is not keeping a consistent message, then you have to wonder how consistent they're going to be in Washington and how easy they are to be swayed by these special interests and perhaps a little bit of extra money in their expense account. I'm not about that life. I've been consistent from day one. I tell you what I think. Many times it's something that a lot of people will find fault with, and that's fine. We don't have to agree on everything. But I believe one thing that's really important is for me to look you in the eyes and tell you what I believe. And that's why I'm here, so that you can hear directly from me, so you don't have to read it on my website. I'm going to spend some time making some videos about each of the topics that are important to me. And hopefully you'll get time to browse through them. Again, at Dion for Congress for anything social media related, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Pay attention to the YouTube. I'm going to be uploading some stuff there very soon. Again, don't hesitate to send me questions. I will answer them on the air, as it were, and I'll make sure that your voice is heard. If you want your name read for the question, let me know. If you don't, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just say from constituent. Otherwise, I look forward to talking to you some more. Like I said, I'm going to try to get some more of these going. So thank you for joining me. This one's going to be a little shorter than the other ones because I'm going to start doing this more often. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you.